a delay on that. We had a technical issue, but I believe we got it all settled. And we have Rachel on the line as well, and I'll give her a moment to introduce herself in just 1 second. I don't want to take up too much time, but first let me thank everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us for our first webinar in a monthly series of small business development webinars that will be put together by the Jurupa Valley Adopt family. Each of them will be designed around helping those of you with small businesses to thrive in each of your individual industries, and each of them are going to be designed not with specific industries in mind, but more of a generic overview that will really truly apply to any type of small business. And so I'm going to let Rachel get started here, and she's going to introduce herself. She is with an organization that she started called Talk Raw, and she is a small business development guru. So she is a business strategist and financial planner, and we've talked a lot about the various types of mechanisms that can be used to help develop small businesses. And with that, Rachel, let me go ahead and turn it over to you.
Good morning, and thank you so much for the intro. So I want to just make sure that everybody can hear me. So if you can look on the chat box, find that. It should be on the right-hand side of your screen. And if you can just say that, yes, I can hear you, say that you're here. I just want to make sure that everybody is attentive and listening and everything is working okay. So please put something in the chat box on the right-hand side of your screen so we can see that you're here and listening. And let me know if you can see my screen as well. Okay, so like Angel was saying, I help people with basically business strategy. So today we're going to be going over Online Marketing 101, leveraging the world's most popular websites to grow your business. So introductions, let's see. If you can take a second and let me know your name in the chat box and then the business you have or the business idea you have. So if you are a new startup, put that in the chat box and let us know. And then if you actually have a business and you're already doing business, put that and you can go ahead and let us know how long you've been in business as well. Okay, so today we're going to cover the best practices to stand out from the competition online, the best online platforms for your business and how to get noticed on them, and then a 6-step formula for getting traffic, leads, and ultimately what all business owners want to get sales. Okay, so just a little bit about me. I used to work at the Inland Empire Women's Business Center. I started there doing business consulting and helping book speakers and things like that. So definitely have a business background. I went to Cal State University San Bernardino. I actually studied entrepreneurship there. I got my undergrad there, and then I also got actually 2 MBAs. So one I concentrated in management, and the other one was a concentration in entrepreneurship. It might sound impressive, but it's actually only 5 extra classes to get 2 MBAs. And then I currently work at the Drucker School of Management, and I do alumni relations there. And so I really love my full-time job because I get to work with amazing people like Tawny Kranz. She's the CTO of Netflix. She's one of our alums. Mark Hatch is, he has Tech Shop, which is amazing. If you're an entrepreneur, you should definitely look that up. It's a place that you can create a bunch of products, and he's the CEO of that company. So I'm just surrounded by giants in the entrepreneurial field and in management, and I absolutely love my job. A couple fun facts. I have a couple videos that have over 40,000 views on YouTube. I have an Instagram that's Talk Raw. If you want to follow me, you can. I self-published a book on Amazon, and we're going to talk about how you can leverage that platform today as well. If I can do it, you can do it. And then I've also been featured on Yahoo Real Estate. So social media is what we're talking about today, or some of it is what we're going to be talking about. And so just a definition, because we all know what it is, but have we really looked up the definition? So I love to kind of look at the foundation of things and see what they truly are. So social media, the true definition of it is websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or to participate in social networking. And so I think the important things that we need to look at here is create and share content. That's one component of it. And then the other part is it's about social and it's about networking. And so I've seen a lot of businesses, I'm sure you've seen this, somebody starts a business, a friend, that maybe they join an MLM or something like that, and then everything in their social media has to do with their business. And most people they don't follow, they're not interested in what they're sharing, because it's not about pitching your business on social media. It's about creating and sharing content that adds value to other people, and also networking and building relationships with people. So I want you to keep that in mind as we go through this presentation, as something that's very foundational, that is what it is all about. But just like if, business in general, the more relationships you have with people, the better you're going to be at selling them in the future and helping them solve their problem. And so we'll go through the presentation and this will make sense, but just keep this in mind as something that's foundational that you need to know. Okay, so then social media marketing is, it's combining that last definition with marketing. And so that's the process of gaining website traffic or attention through social media sites. Pretty simple. Social media marketing programs usually center on efforts to create content that attracts attention and encourages readers to share it across their social networks. So again, it's all about creating content, and it's more about visibility. So back in, when radio and TV was really popular, you had to pay tons of money. And still, if you want a billboard or something, if you want visibility for your brand, you have to pay thousands of dollars. But now with social media, you can encourage the people that already know, like, and trust you to share it with their networks for free. You just have to make sure that the content you are giving them to share is something that they want to share. And we'll talk about that today. Okay, so here's an example of the power of social media. So if you've heard of Damn Daniel, if you've never heard of it, Google it, you can watch it. It's really funny, but it's also, people are like, what the heck? Why is this funny? So basically, Damn Daniel, this kid Daniel, here on the left, he is a high school student in Riverside. I think he's like 14 years old. And him and his friend, if you look on the right, there's a guy that's blonde. He was the videographer in this, and they basically made a bunch of funny videos, and it went completely viral, and enough so that they were featured on Ellen. And Daniel got a lifetime supply of free Vans. His friend got a surfboard, but the biggest thing is they were featured on Ellen, and now it's a phenomenon. People know when you say Damn Daniel or Daniel, you think of this person. And so you might say, well, they didn't have a business. How does this have anything to do with my business? Well, if you can get something to go viral, even just get it shared by quite a few people. You don't have to be featured on Ellen, although that's the dream, and wouldn't that be great for your business? But if you can create something that creates buzz in the market where your target market is hanging out, that can be valuable to you. And the cool thing is you don't have to pay for it. It takes time, which time is money, time to create something like that. But once it goes and it spreads like wildfire, and it's nothing that you really invested money in. And it's more powerful because it happens organically. So look that up if you have time. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Just a little delay. So basically you need to understand the funnel that has to do with, really this is all marketing, but specifically with social media marketing and online marketing. So the first step is that you want to create great content. Once you create it, you have to share it. After you've shared it, that will create more visibility for your brand. Once you've created a visibility and it's good, great content, if you're sharing bad content, then people aren't going to like you, because it's just that same person that's always pitching their business, selling. Everybody's kind of annoyed by them. When you're selling to somebody, you're not necessarily adding value to them. But if you're educating them or inspiring them, then you are doing something that they like, that they get value out of. That helps you become visible, but also likable, which we'll talk about. Which then leads to trust. And if you are in business, you need people to know, like, and trust you. So visibility is the know, like we get, and then trust. And then PS, because I didn't have room, that's problem solve. So at the end of the day, what business is solving problems for people. And so before you can solve the problem, they need to trust you that you can solve the problem for them. They need to like you, and you need to be visible. If they don't know that you exist, then how are you ever going to solve their problem? So this is what social media can help you do. So you need to start with the end in mind. So we have the whole funnel here, but you have to start with, what is the problem that you're solving? You have to build this backwards. So we're going to talk about that first, and then we'll work backwards. So the very first step is you need to figure out the problem you're going to solve, and figure out how and why people are going to trust you. So first step is to ask yourself, what problem do I solve? It's very simple. And this is going to basically be the business that you're in. But it does help if you do market research, which I'll discuss a little bit more in depth later in this presentation. But find out what problems do your customers actually have. You might think you're solving one problem for them, but you have the same solution, but it's actually a different problem that you're solving for them. So it does help to actually talk to your customers and find out the problem that you solve. And then also figure out why they should trust you. Do you have years of experience? Are you knowledgeable in this? Do you have a degree that makes you the person that they should trust? Figure out why you are the best in the industry or just good in the industry and you are able to solve their problem. So I love this book, The Likability Factor by Tim Sanders, and it talks specifically about trust. This is very important on social media. If you've ever been familiar with Instagram or things like that, you know that a lot of people will put stuff on their pages on Facebook and they highlight the best things about their life. But to be likable and to create trust, you have to be true to yourself. And I don't want you to start complaining on social media and be very negative, but you just need to be true to yourself, true to others. Don't be fake, show your realness. And so those are very important things that actually do create trust and create likability. And so I wanted to give you an example. So this is from Twitter, and this is the San Francisco BART. So you can see at the top, a lady, one of their followers said, bloody hell, you had over 20 years to plan for crowds, get it together. So she's complaining about the BART. And the BART responded with, planners in 1996 had no way of predicting the tech boom. Track redundancy, new tunnels, and transbay tubes are decade-long projects. And then somebody else commented and say, what I'm reading is whoever was manning the BART social media page just gave up completely, winky face. And then the BART responded with that of, no, we're not sugarcoating problems, especially ones obviously disrupting people's lives. It's not effective or honest way to communicate. And so they were honest. They were completely real. They weren't trying to sugarcoat things. They realized that they had a problem on hand and people were talking about this. And it went viral that people were complaining, but more importantly, what went viral, if you Google this, there are blog posts and articles written about how they responded to this, and that is going viral. And so even though the system is broken, they got a lot of visibility for being honest. So this is something that's very important that you should keep in mind. If you are in business and something does happen, don't try to brush it under the rug. Bring it to the light and be honest and transparent, and that could go viral, and that is very important to your brand, and people will trust you more if you say that you made a mistake and try to fix it rather than brush it under the rug. So the next step after you've figured out what problem you solve, which if you don't know what problem you solve, I'll have a solution for you at the end because that's kind of a longer discussion. But once you've figured out the problem, you have trust or you are communicating in a trustful manner, then you need to be likable. And likable, again, we'll go back to for social media, it's a little bit different than likable in person. So on social media, you have to think, why would my customer like me? So inspiring, funny, surprising, interesting, unique, exciting, happy, beautiful. These are all things, if you think about how you consume information and what you comment on, what you like, what you share when you're on social media, or just when you're cruising the internet in general, usually it's going to be these things. So it's things that are inspiring you, that are connected to your heart. Those are the things that you're sharing. And then the one that kind of stands out that's a little bit different is anger. And so that is different, and I would recommend going on the inspiring, funny, surprising, the positive emotions first. But the anger does have a place, and if you make people angry, or if you talk about something that you are angry about that other people agree with, it gets them riled up, it gets their emotions going, so that could be useful. Like, it's one in here, it's an option, but you definitely have to use that one carefully. So I have some examples here. This is from Post Planner, so if you want some examples of good social media, this is from Facebook. Here's one example, be patient. Sometimes you have to go through the best to get the worst. That's their post. But if you look down here, they've had over 1.2 thousand people comment, like, or share, well, not share, but comment or like or make a reaction to this. And then they have also had over 700 shares. And that is amazing because that's other people sharing their content for free, and organic shares are on people's personal pages are what really get the viral thing going and having a lot of people see it. Another one is, and this is kind of the more funny, I do all my ironing in the dryer, and so that's just going to people's kind of the funny side, and you might think, well, why in the heck would I be sharing something like this on my business? Here's the thing, and I'll talk about this later as well, but it's the 80-20 rule. So social media is about being social and creating content and having interactions with your family. So you want it to match the conversations that are already being done on the platform. So if you're on social media and you see that your best friend just got married and somebody's having a baby and somebody just graduated from college or got accepted, and there's all these life events, and somebody's on vacation, they're posting beautiful pictures, and then a marketer pops in and says, buy my thing, you're not going to like that. You're going to be annoyed by it. But if you are scrolling through this and people are posting funny pictures and inspirational quotes and you're liking them, and a marketer happens to do that for their business, you're going to like it. And you don't really know if that was your friend or if that was somebody else. You read the content first, and then you might look at the top left corner to see who was actually posting that. And so you want your customers to be interacting with you on social media. The way that algorithms work, especially on Facebook, Twitter, things like that, the more people are interacting and engaging with your content, then when you do pitch them something, they're more likely to see it. And that creates visibility for what you actually do. And I'll go into this deeper, but that's why it may seem weird that, on my business page, I'm sharing funny images and inspirational quotes, but there is a method to the madness. You want people to be engaged with your business and see all of your content ideally and be engaged with it so that when you do sell something, then they are seeing that as well. And so if you've heard of the Pareto principle or the 80-20 rule, and you can Google that if you've never heard of it, it's basically you can use that rule for social media as well. So at least 80% of your content should be something that adds value, that's creative, funny, interesting, compelling, that's natural on the platform, something that you would easily see on your friend's page and not think it was weird. And then 20%, if not less than 20%, can actually be you pitching your products or services and things like that. So this one, it has over 2,000 people reacting to it and over almost 1,400 shares. And then again, another example, when you're taking a shower and you hear a noise, but you're home alone, and it has a funny, cute picture, and it may seem weird that a business is posting this, but it's something that catches your eye. It's interesting, compelling, and again, it gets lots of shares and lots of reactions. Okay, so likability. Being likable, it's communicate friendliness, connect with others' interests. So you, as a business owner, as a business, you might be very interested in your market and what you're doing, but maybe you know who your target market is, but you know that they have other interests. And so if you know that your target market loves baseball, then maybe you talk about baseball on your social media and you bring up things that are trending and you connect with other things that they're interested, so that they see your company almost as a personality that they're interested in following because there's unique and interesting content that adds value to their lives. The next thing is to connect with others' wants and needs. So you can go from wants and needs. What do we want? Just as a human component, do we want love? Do we want to be inspired? But then you can also go of what are our wants and needs specifically regarding your business? So do we want a specific problem solved? Can you give us information or educate us on how to get that solved? But all of those things, if you're adding value to other people's lives and you're thinking about what you can do for them, then that will help you be more likable. Okay, so then the next thing is visibility. So when it comes to visibility, you want to think about, does my customer see my content? And let me check something really fast. Okay, so like I was saying before, the more funny and cute and inspiring photos, likable photos, things that create trust that you create, the more likely, and the more that your people are engaged with that, the more likely they are to see all of your content, including the 20% of the content that actually sells your product or mentions it in a different way. So if your customers aren't seeing that, it's probably because you haven't been engaging them enough with things that add value to their life. And then ask yourself, what am I currently doing to be visible? So I'm going to give you a bunch of different options for being visible. And you have to really think about how much time are you going to invest in this. I know tons of people that build a website and then that's it. They have one website, but then they're not out networking. They're not doing any of the in-person things to market their business, and they're not doing any of the online things to market their business. They're not on Facebook, or maybe they have a Facebook page, but they're not posting. Maybe they're not on Twitter. They're not on YouTube. They're not doing anything online to get eyeballs, get visibility back to their website. And so that's what we'll talk about. And I'll give you a bunch of options for creating that today. Okay. And then also, is your content shareable? So we talked about creating, I gave you examples of content that people shared and liked and things that went viral. And so you need to try to think about how you can create content that is shareable. So most people aren't going to, if you pitched your product and it was for full price, most people aren't going to share that with their friends. Now, if there's a really good discount, maybe they would sell that, or they would share that with their friends because that's something exciting and they want to add value to other people. But then when it comes to just creating visibility, content that's interesting, unique, inspiring, the things that we talked about before, that is content that is shareable. And a trick with this is, how can you make the person that shares your content look good or look smart? So referrals, word of mouth marketing, we've all heard of that. So even if it is a full price item, if you have the best service in town or the best product, you're going to get word of mouth referrals because you are amazing at what you do. And people want to look good and they want to look smart and they want to be helpful to their friends and family. And so if you are really good, then you will get word of mouth. And the same goes, that's for your actual product or service. But when it goes to a very simple thing, if you want your content to be shared and you want buzz on social media, then you need to be creating content that makes people look good. If I share an article that I think is interesting that has helpful information in it, it will make me look good. But if I share an article that isn't well written and has typos and doesn't really share very much valuable content, it's going to annoy my followers, and I'm not going to naturally share that because it wouldn't make me look good. So you always have to be thinking about content being shareable, beautiful, and then also how can you help other people look good. And then, like I said before, the 80-20 rule. Okay, so I want to get into the nuts and bolts of the different platforms that you can use to boost your business visibility and how you can actually get noticed on them. So Google, and if you see in the top left corner, that is, there's a number up there, that is the Alexa ranking of the popularity of the website. So Google, as we all know, is number one when it comes to internet rankings. They are the granddaddy of the internet. So how can you be visible on Google? The first step is that you have to have some type of website. Okay, if you don't have a website, you can still be in business, that's fine. But if you want to be visible, then a good way to get started, especially if you want to be visible on Google, is you have to have a website. The next step is to submit your site. And let me find, I can show you exactly how you can do this. Let me see. So over here, if you literally go to, see if it will load, Google My Business, and you can click right here. The very first thing that comes up when you Google is you can get a free business listing on Google. So if you have a website, then all you have to do is type this into your browser and go add your link to the Google search. You want the spiders to be searching for you all the time. So once you do that, that's just the very start, and that you're not going to show up on Google right away from doing that. But if you don't do that, you're never going to be able to show up on Google. So that's the very, very first step, is that you have to submit your site. And then, so you do that with Google My Business. And then you also want to leverage the Google Keyword Planner. So basically, if you go on Google and you literally are going to type this in, not leverage, but you're going to type in Google Keyword Planner, and you can search for all of the different things that are being searched and how often they're searched and what's coming up on Google. And it will show you the competition and how much, if you wanted to pay to get seen, how much it would cost. But I'm more about organic and saving people money. And so look at this, find things that have a relatively high amount of people searching for them, but the competition is very low. And then you can write blog posts and articles about that. And ideally, you can, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but you can even create YouTube videos, which YouTube is a part of Google. So Google really likes YouTube. You can create YouTube videos around those keywords, and then you're more likely to be seen and come up on Google. Okay. Then you also want to link your sites to social media profiles. So let's see, site directories, I'm going to go ahead a little bit. So create backlinks and linking your site to social media profiles, those are very similar. So basically, when Google goes and they want to know that you are popular and that people are talking about you and kind of you're active on the online community, basically. So if all you have is one website and nobody's linking to you and you're not linking to anybody else, then you're not really relevant in this space. But if you are on social media and you are on all your social media sites, you are sending people to your website, then that is a link, that is a backlink. And then you can also guest blog on other people's sites to create backlinks to your site. So a backlink basically is just a link to your website that is on somebody else's website. And the more you have of those, the better, because it's basically you being active on the internet community. And so if there are directories for people in your business, that would create a backlink as well. So let's say there is a website that shows all the people in a certain industry or a lot of the people in a certain industry. If you have your name and your website on that directory, then you're more likely, that's another backlink for you, and you're more likely to get ranked on Google. So great content blogging is a great way, because you want your website to stay active. You don't want to create a website and then never post something ever again. Google is not going to see you as very relevant. There's tons of websites that are built every day, and there are tons that are abandoned or never looked at every day as well, from the administrator side. And so if you're blogging every day, then that shows that you're an active business owner, that you're doing something. And the great thing too, we were talking about creating great content. If you blog content and then you post that on social media, you're creating backlinks, you're creating great content for your people to use, you're creating content that's shareable, so you can use that on multiple different platforms and start to create visibility for your business and add value to your customers or potential customers' lives. Okay, and then the next thing is, which I talked about earlier, is to guest post on other blogs. So you can take some of the content that you wrote and change it a little bit, or you can create completely new content, and then you can post that on strategic partners' blogs or on their websites, which will link back to you. So if there is an industry, let me think of an example. Let's say you're a makeup artist and you partner with people in the wedding industry. If you wrote a blog post on how to have beautiful makeup on your wedding day, and you had a wedding photographer post that, you're adding value to that wedding photographer's clients, to their lives and to her website, and you're making her website better, but you are also going to get a little kickback. You're going to get a bonus at the end. It will mention your name and your website, which will create a backlink. And if people are reading it, hopefully they'll then be interested in you and come to your website. So it's creating visibility for your brand through a strategic partner's website. Okay, and then Google Ad Grants is something that's kind of exciting. So you can literally just Google the word Google Ad Grants. I'll show you here. And then basically this is ads that you can get if you are a nonprofit. And so you can see if you're eligible here, you can sign up. This is a great way to find out if you're able to get this, if you have a nonprofit, and it's a great resource to get visibility for free from Google. So that's Google. And let me just make a note too. I'm going to go over 6 different things. Just for Google, I had a ton of action items for you. So we're going to talk about how you decide how to prioritize which ones you should actually do towards the end of this. So don't get overwhelmed, just take notes, and then we'll be able to figure out which one you can do later on. Okay, so Facebook is another great one. And it's number 2. So first is Google, and then second is Facebook. So it's important that you are on Facebook for your business, especially if that's where your customers are, which we'll talk about that. If for some reason none of your customers are on Facebook, then I wouldn't recommend that you're on it, but pretty much everybody's on Facebook, so something that you want to consider. So the first step is you have to have a business page, and that is different than a personal page. So you want to make sure that you have the business page, and that's important for getting likes. You can actually do paid ads as well, which you can't do that on your personal page. So that is very important to have. And then you need to make it look good. So a lot of people, I've seen them, they set something up and then they won't get a graphic designer. And you don't even necessarily need a graphic designer if that's a strength of yours, or if you can create your own content on like a header and things like that, which I'll show you later in this presentation how you can do that. But you want to make it look good, and you want to fill out all the information, and you want to be linking back to your website, to where you want people to go, so that if people are on Facebook and they look up your business, they get valuable information and you look trustworthy and likable. If I go on there and you have nobody following you and it doesn't look like you've been on there for years, you're not going to be as trustworthy, because people are like, well, it looks like they've abandoned it. Are they even still in business? So that's something that is very important. Then, like I said, you want to link your business page to your personal page. So if on your personal page, because people do research. So if you are sharing content on your personal page and I am interested in you, but I want to know what you do, I'm going to go to your about section, and you should be leveraging that and make sure that on your about section, you're linking people to your personal your business Facebook page. And then this one is huge, and I think a lot of people aren't doing this, but it's super important, is to participate in Facebook groups. So there are a million groups out there, millions, probably billions, I wouldn't be surprised by that, for pretty much anything under the sun. So figure out who your target market is and what they like to talk about, and go on there and find a group that they're in. So I help people with business, so I'm in a ton of groups with entrepreneurs, people that want to be entrepreneurs, and that's basically where all of my target market is hanging out online. So if I go in there, I can easily make a comment, offer value to them, share content, and I'm developing a relationship with them and adding value to their lives. And then that eventually gets them to either be friends with me on Facebook or like my business page, come to a webinar, things like that. So participate in groups. It's just like going to networking events offline, only you can do it from the comfort of your own home in your pajamas. Again, we're going to be creating great content that adds value and is shareable. So if you are in a Facebook group, or if you're just posting on your business page, then you're going to always be focusing on what's in it for the other person. How can you make them look smart? How can you make them more inspired, happy? How can you solve a problem that they have? The more value you add to them, the more they're going to like you, the more they're going to trust you, and eventually the more likely they're going to be to buy from you. Don't sell. So we talked about this earlier, the 80-20 rule. And the 20 rule is the 20%. When you are talking about your business, I wouldn't recommend that you sell directly on Facebook. A lot of what people do is send people from Facebook to a page where they can get more information, where they continue to add value to their life. And maybe this time they say, okay, I'll give you this amazing content that really tons of people have paid for, but I just am going to request your email address or your phone number or some kind of contact information. Then once you have that contact information, you continue to add value, and then when you have their email address, then you can start to sell them after you've solved many problems for them. But when you're on Facebook, it's the platform, people are so used to just hanging out with their friends on there. If you come in and announce that you're selling something, it's not going to seem trustworthy, and it's not going to be likable, and people are going to be annoyed. So don't sell. And then be consistent. This one is huge. This is going to be, I don't know if I mentioned it for all the different platforms, but for Facebook, if you're blogging, if you're on Facebook, if you're sharing content, if you're on YouTube, Twitter, any of those, you want to be consistent. You don't want to post once a year and then go away. That's not going to be creating likability, trust for you or for your organization, because you're not being consistent. If you want, you can think of it like dating. So if there is a guy or a girl that called you once and you went on a date and you had an amazing time, and then they didn't call you for a year, when they did call you, you wouldn't pick up the phone, or if you did pick up the phone, you're not going to go on another date with them because you're annoyed. Like, you had a great time, then never called you. It's similar on social media or just online. If you're not consistent, then it's going to break down that trust, and people aren't going to like you as much, because it's like, well, yesterday they shared amazing content with me, But then today, they're not really doing anything. And really, they're just going to forget about you, and you're not going to engage them. And then when you do post something a year later, they're not going to see it. Okay, so that is Facebook. And then the other thing is that unfortunately, the algorithm has been changing, and business pages don't get as much engagement because Facebook needs to make money and they want people to pay for it. But luckily, Facebook ads are very inexpensive if you want a ton of visibility, and you can get very targeted visibility, so you can pick exactly who you want to be seeing your advertisements on Facebook. But you do have to pay for that. But if you boost a post or create an ad, you can spend, $5, and it will actually do something and it can help your business. Obviously, the more that you pay, usually the better off it is. But you can test it with, $5, $10 and get people to understand if that is a good option. Okay.
Rachel, this is Angel, real quick.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that we actually use the pay-per-click type of format, and I know of a couple of you on the call already do that as well. There's, for the cost advertising on Facebook, you literally can start at $5, but for $20 to $100, the amount of content distribution that you get is an incredible value, especially when you compare it to what you're paying for click-through rates on banner ads and things like that with some of the online marketing firms that are out there. And it is something I strongly encourage you to do. So you can make, it could make a difference between 100 people seeing your post and 5,000 people seeing your post with just a very minor investment.
Yeah, can you speak to if between the 100 and 5,000, how much you usually spend and to see the difference?
Yeah, and some of it has to do with the post content itself. So if you have something that's a very attractive type of post, and at Phoenix, for example, we came up with a very attractive ad campaign that was a firefighter, kind of a grungy-looking firefighter, dark background, and we spent less than $100 on marketing that post or promoting that post, and had about 107,000 views on it. That same $100 placed in a banner ad on Fire Engine Magazine or something like that would have maybe got us 1,000 views. And so, you can. It really, there's a lot that goes into it, and those algorithms that you talked about. You can have a very unattractive post that you pay to promote, and you may only get a few hundred. Mm-hmm. But the good thing about Facebook is when you go in and boost a post, it'll give you an estimate of what they feel. The number of views or the number of likes or the number of shares that you'll get for your dollars. And you can target, so when we do it, we strategically target growth areas. So we don't necessarily share or boost across a general population. We target specifically, for example, if we want to grow in Texas, we'll target Texas cities and certain keywords. So, and you may touch on this a little bit, Rachel, but things that are going to be attractive to us. So we don't care if a 93-year-old grandmother who likes cats is looking at our fire helmet ad. What we want is somebody that's entering the market, becoming a firefighter, or they're actually currently part of that, or maybe they're a purchasing manager, or they have a general interest, but somebody that is going to be attracted to our product. And so we target that specifically. And so the value that we get. So in just looking at that 100 and something thousand views that we had, we're pretty confident that at least 80 to 85% of them were within our target audience, people that we wanted to see that.
Right, definitely. Yeah, and Facebook is really cool because you don't have to spend that much money, and like I was saying before, the targeting is just amazing. You can pick a page. So for example, if you have a competitor that has quite a few people that know about it and has good visibility, you can put your competitor as a keyword and get all the people that are interested in your competitor. You can be targeting only them. And then like you were saying, Angel, you can do that for all the people that like your competitor that also are in Texas or in California or are in a very specific area. I mean, you can target it for just Los Angeles if you want. So you can get drill down into who is my target market, and I only want my target market to be seeing that. And so the one thing that's super important, but I've noticed that a lot of entrepreneurs, they think they know who their target market is, but sometimes they're not too sure. And so I'll have a solution at the end of this presentation that's completely free. But if you want to know more about who your target market is, then that will just give you a better opportunity to understand who they are. So that when you do Facebook ads, or even just picking your platform, should you be on Facebook? Should you be more on YouTube? Should you focus on blog posts? When you're picking that, you can figure out based on who your target market is, which platform you should be leveraging the most. Awesome. Thanks
and
for
there's
sharing.
Actually, Rachel, a question came in regards to setting budgets on that. And I'm just going to touch briefly on this, and you can send us an email and we can follow up with it. But when you set it up for your ads, make sure you click a maximum budget for that campaign. So whether it's a daily maximum for 7 days, or you set an overall budget limit, because Facebook will continue promoting, and if you set it only as a guideline without a maximum, you may wind up with a very large bill at the end, and it didn't necessarily target the right thing. So set up the target that you want to go after, set up the timeline, the duration, and then also set a maximum budget for that, and monitor it. Make sure you go back in and see how it's going.
Definitely. And you have to be careful, because when you go on the back end, I think it will set like, oh, here's my maximum daily budget. And so just make sure you read those little check boxes and be careful. And what I like to do is, when you first are let's say you're boosting a post, create really good content that you think will be good. Make it look beautiful. I'm going to talk a little bit about keywords, and I'll talk a little bit more about it later, and figuring out a keyword. And once you've figured out what you think will be the best value to your customers and you put it out there, just post it first, put it on your page, don't boost it, and then share it to your personal page. If you have employees or other people that are willing to share it, have them share it so that it gains some just organic traction, and see where it goes in like an hour or two. Or you can even see where it goes in a day. Give it 24 hours and kind of see if it's getting more likes and views and clicks and comments than your other posts. And if it does organically, then you can definitely boost it. And the cool thing on Facebook too is that they want to make money. So they'll give you there will be a little pop-up or a notification that says, hey, this post is performing better than 90% or 85% or 75% of your other posts. Do you want to boost it? And so it will let you know, but you can also go in and check things, but it will let you know when a boost is good. And then you can go in and just boost it, do it for $5 and see where it goes. And then if that helps a lot and you like what's happening, then you can boost it for 10 or 20 or whatever your budget is. But I would recommend if you're just getting started with Facebook ads, set kind of a budget for you to play around with it. It's best if you learn by doing, and just go in and have a little bit of fun and be okay with that. That will be your tuition basically to learn Facebook ads. So, if it's $100 or $50 for you just to play around, and you can look on YouTube and find videos of how to, if you're afraid to use the back end or don't understand it, look for YouTube videos. Maybe call Angel, maybe he'll help you. Give me a call, send me an email, and we can help you figure that out. Okay, so yes, thanks for sharing your comments as well, Angel, on that. Okay, so YouTube. I love YouTube. The very first step you have to do with YouTube is that you have to have a channel. And YouTube, I actually have a video that is ranked #1 if you Google for this specific topic, because it's on YouTube, which is a sister to Google. So people love, unfortunately, a lot of people are lazy. They don't like to read things. They would much rather watch a video. So people are searching video. If you've noticed the trends on Facebook, on Twitter, there's Periscope now. On Facebook, there's the live video feed. So video is super popular, and I really think that's where a lot of this is going. So if you can leverage YouTube and you can get on YouTube, you do it once and then it's up there forever. And the cool thing is Facebook and Twitter, that content stays on your feed forever, but it's just going to get bogged down by more recent updates. And so, something that you posted 2 years ago, even if it went viral and it was amazing, people are going to forget about it. But on YouTube, if it has the most views and it's still amazing and it's the most relevant content that answers somebody's question or adds value to them, when they search it on YouTube, that's what's going to come up first. So YouTube has a lot of value, and it doesn't necessarily go away like things do on other social media platforms. So just like the other ones, it needs to exist. You need to have a YouTube channel. You need to make your channel look beautiful, get your graphic designer involved, or you can create your own content, which, like I said, I'll get to that later. Use the Google Keyword Planner, and let me see if I have that up. So hopefully you can all see this. So if you literally go to adwords.google, Jimenez.com. You have to sign in, so I have already signed in, but you're just going to search for a phrase. So let's see, marketing. We're talking about marketing, and I'm just going to get ideas. And this is giving me ideas if I wanted to get AdWords, if I wanted to buy something. But I'm not going to buy it, but this information is still really good for me. So I can look on here and I can sort, all I have to do is hit competition, and it will sort it by whether it's high or low competition. So it sorted and put the high competition first. I don't want where it's high competition, I want where it's low. So I'm going to hit it again, and now it's giving me the low competition. Well, look, this is wow, that's cheap if I did want to buy it. It's low competition, and it has a lot of people, average monthly searches. So I can look at all these and really pick some of the biggest ones. So, okay, this one has 446,000 views, monthly views. So now I'm going to click in a little bit deeper, and I'm going to sort by average monthly searches. And so advertising has low competition and 135,000 average monthly searches. So maybe and this you can use for blogging, for YouTube, for whatever, but maybe I write a blog post on advertising, and I use marketing for my example because that's what I help people do. But so this would be for my business. If you want to type in what your business is, I'm happy. Go ahead and do that in the questions section. And if something comes up, I will quickly in the next couple seconds, I can do one of your examples. But basically, you look through this and you can get a bunch of keywords. So what is marketing? Wow. Okay. At low competition, I'm curious. Let me go on YouTube. If my computer will load quickly. What did we say it was? Where did it go? Right here. What is marketing? So I'm going to search what is marketing, and I want to see what comes up. Okay, so there's a few videos, 44,000 views, 130. This was from 4 years ago, so it's kind of old. But what I would recommend if you wanted to create a YouTube video is go watch the top 3 that come up and see if they're any good. And if they aren't, that's an opportunity for you to create something that's better. And so that's exactly what I did, what I was walking you through. So you can see I have these silly little videos, but it cracks me up. This was, let's see, the couponing video I made over 2 years ago. I was just messing around. If you watch this, my video is blurry. The information is good, but it's not filmed very well. And I'm completely honest with that. But it has over 47,000 views, and people like and comment and love this video because the information is good, the content is good, and it's better than what was out there. The same with the no spending challenge, which this one was much more popular for a long time, but this one has since surpassed it. Almost has 50,000 views, which is amazing and creates tons of visibility for your company. It's a simple little no spending challenge video, and tons of people are watching this. And what I did is I did this tool. I thought of something that I thought would be interesting. And then I searched it on YouTube. I used the keyword planner, and I came up with the title, and then I created it. And I looked at the competition, and the videos that other people had made were just awful. So all I had to do, this video isn't perfect. It's not that great, but all I had to do was create a video that was a little bit better than theirs. And then I was able to get a bunch of views on YouTube, which created visibility. So use Google Keyword Planner, look at the competition on YouTube. It's a really great way to create more visibility for your company. And like I already went over 4, scope out the competition. And like I just said, make your video better than your competitors. And so it doesn't have to be perfect. And honestly, I think the perfect videos people sometimes don't trust, because this is still in a way a social media platform. And so when we see something perfect on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, we automatically think, oh, it's a brand, they're trying to sell me something. But when it's something that's kind of more grassroots, people trust it more, surprisingly, because they think it's just somebody, it's just their friend or family member. Like your dad might give you advice about money, and then you could go to a financial planner and get advice from them. But honestly, you'll probably trust your dad more than your financial planner, because if your dad knows about money, because your dad, you already know, like, and trust him. And so you will trust that, and he has your best interest. Whereas somebody that's trying to sell you something, you trust them to a certain degree, but then you're kind of always thinking like, well, what's in it for them? What are they really trying to do? So if you create yourself as a brand that's just giving valuable information, and again, like we were talking about, the likability and the trust, and you really get people to trust you, then they're more likely to buy your product when you do sell it to them, because they think of you more like the father in the example I just gave, as opposed to the salesperson. Okay. And then add keywords and tags to the section. So let me give you an example of that. Let me get on this. Okay. So if I click in, I'll give you all my secrets away. Let me pause this. Okay. So when you're making your video, and I'm not going to go into the back end of mine, but basically you'll add a description, you'll add a title, and then when you're on the back end, you can also do tags. And so this is a really sneaky thing, so pay attention. Okay, so what I'm doing on here is I go on a video. So what I want you to do is find a video that's similar to the one you're going to create. You're going to right click with your mouse and go to view page source. And a bunch of craziness comes up. So I'm on a PC. I'm going to hit Control Alt Delete. I'm sorry, not Control Alt Delete. Oh no. Okay, sorry. Control F. I'm going to search it. Okay, and I'm going to type in keyword. And so it's going to highlight, and so don't worry about all this. It looks scary, I know, but it's going to find the keywords. And so this is what your competitor or whatever video you're looking at, this is all the things that they use as their tags. So this here is just a partial list because here it says ... So if you go down, you hit this button up in the top right, hit down, you're going to find all of the keywords. So these are all the keywords I used, and I showed you that keyword planner. Let's see, I'm highlighting all of them. Okay, so these are all of them. So I showed you on Google how to find the keyword planner. So once you find keywords that all have to do with whatever your title is, you're going to just go to Google, get those keywords, copy and paste them into your tags. And then you can also look at your competitors and look at the tags that they're using. If they have a video that is very popular, it might behoove you to actually use the tags that they used. So here are all the tags I used. All this information is out there. You're not stealing anything. It's public information. You just have to know where to look. Okay? So that is super important. Use the Google Keyword Planner. Make sure you're tagging your videos. And this is going, again, to help you show up on Google as well and help you show up just on YouTube if somebody's searching it. Because all the tags are telling the algorithm, the searching algorithms, what your video is about. Okay. So hopefully that information was helpful. One of my go-to tricks. Okay. And then have a call to action in your video. So it's okay to tell them what you want them to do at the end of the video. Do you want them to like the video, which that helps it get boosted again to show up more? Do you want them to comment on it and answer a question? Do you want them to share it with a friend? Do you want them to go to your website because you have something else that you can give them there? Give them one action, not multiple. Things that they can do. You could also ask them to subscribe to your channel, which is very helpful because unless they've turned their notifications off, when you create a new video, anybody that they've subscribed to, when they create a new video, they'll get an email saying, hey, go watch this person's new video. So it's a way for you to get you don't have their direct email address, but you have access to getting them through the email. So YouTube is amazing. And the thing I guess some side notes is those videos I made just having fun, being playful. I did the research first, but then it took a while. So it does take a little bit of time, but they're evergreen. They're there forever, and they're going to be continuing to get likes. And the cool thing is you can even monetize those. So if you're in business, and the bad thing is if you're monetizing it, then your competitors could put an ad over your video, which you might not want to do. But if you want to make a little bit of extra money, or maybe your videos if you just wanted to make extra money and you're not in business and you want YouTube to be your business, that's something that you could do as well. And then you can just make ad revenue. So yeah, YouTube is an amazing, amazing platform. Okay, so Amazon. Let me load something. Okay, so I already showed you the Google Keyword Planner. You can use that to come up with a title. So we're going to talk a little bit more, and I've already mentioned this, is that talk to your customers, the customers that you've already had, and figure out what the problem is, and then write a book. Come up with a Google keyword to come up with the title of the book, and then you're going to put it on Amazon. Amazon, you can see up here, is ranked number 4 on the website, so on the internet. So people are going to Amazon. So if you don't already have a product or service on Amazon, you can create an information product that relates to your business and makes you an expert in the field. So you'll use the Google Keyword Planner to come up with the title. You'll write a great, but here's the most important thing, short and simple. So you want amazing information in there that makes you an expert and solves the problem that they have and the questions that they're answering. And secret tip, usually it's going to point them to buy whatever product or service that you're selling, but you're going to give them a taste of what it is in the book. And you want to keep it short and simple. So people don't, like we were talking about earlier, people watch videos because they're lazy and they want information quickly. So with Amazon, you don't want to write a 500-page book. It might not even be a 100-page book. It could be a 20-page ebook, and you put it on Kindle or on Amazon, just a physical book that they can order so that it's a resource. And people trust usually books and things that they buy more so than somebody that's pushing something down their throat. So you have to kind of think of how are people getting content and getting the problems that they have, how are they getting solutions to the problems that they have. So Amazon is a way, buying books and getting more information is a way that they do that. So books are an amazing tool. And you might be wondering, like, how the heck am I going to do this? You're going to self-publish it, okay? You might not know this, but it's really easy nowadays to get a book. So here's the website. You're going to go to createspace.com. It's part of Amazon. And you can, look, you're going to click this button and you're going to get started right away. So all you have to do is you can write it all in a Word document, just type something up. If you have a bunch of blog posts or you've been writing, or maybe it's just emails, like you can search through all the emails and the questions that your customers had, and then you just put all of the answers that you've written and make it anonymous so you don't say who wrote the question, and you put that in a Word document, and now you have an ebook. Maybe have a friend or family member edit it. And then you're going to go on here, click start a title, you'll create a login, and you can, literally, I've done it in a weekend. You can create a book and get it to you very, very, very easily. Let me see, I'll even show you. So this is my book, okay? It took me literally like a weekend to do. So then you have a product, and if people are Googling you, your name, your business, they could see your book and be like, wow, this person's really an expert in the field. Okay. And then the other one, let's see, and then you can get physical books made too, so you can put it on Kindle. And here's the thing, they're really inexpensive. So you could be setting yourself apart as an expert. If you know your customer's name or your prospect's name, you could send them a physical version of your book. You only bought it for $2. They're going to feel like that's immense value because it's something tangible that they're getting, and they might actually read it because it's something that people value. If I download an ebook, I'm not going to value it as much as if I have a physical book. And then you can also do Kindle publishing, so it's kdp.amazon.com, but you can very, very easily publish the same book on Kindle as well. And you can even give it away for free. So on Kindle, you have the option, since they don't have to print anything, you can give the book away for free. And when people are searching it, they find the solution they need in the book that you've written, and it's free. So yeah, they're going to download it and read it. And now you have a prospect that you've spent hours they've spent hours with you in reading your book, and you've developed a deeper relationship with them. Okay, so self-publish a book. And then, like I said, you can have the physical version on Amazon. You can sell a digital version for 99 cents or $2.99. I would keep it low. Or like I said, you can just do it for free. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm watching the time. So I'm going to go quickly through these last ones. These are similar to Facebook. Twitter is similar to Facebook. It definitely has differences, but a lot of this stuff is similar of what I've been saying. So you need to have a Twitter account if you want to be on Twitter. Make your page look good. It needs to be beautiful. Create a compelling bio. You're going to do the link back again, so you want to make sure it's linking to your website or wherever you want to be driving traffic to. Share great and interesting content. Do you guys see a theme here? Speak the Twitter language. So Twitter, you have limited amount of space and characters. I think it's 160 that you have to say something. And usually the conversations on there are smart, witty, and they're definitely quick. And so funny is definitely on there. The other part of the Twitter language is this part, which is use hashtags and tag people. And let me see if I have Twitter. I don't have it open, but if you are on Twitter, if you are on your computer, if you look at the left-hand side, it will tell you what is trending, all the hashtags that are trending. So I would, every day, really, if you have the time or have somebody in your office, look at, and you want to use Twitter, look at what is trending and try to see if somehow your business can relate to that trending topic. Could you create a blog post or even just a beautiful image that is funny or interesting that has to do with what is trending? And then there's more eyeballs on that hashtag and what's trending. So if you post something and use that hashtag, there's more people that are more likely to see and engage with your content and hopefully follow you. So like I just said that, so pay attention to trends. And just like Facebook, you don't want to sell, you want to be engaging. You're creating the relationship, and in your bio, you have information of how people can get a hold of you, whether it's going to your website. So it's just being known on the Twitter community. And then if they are like, wow, this person always shares interesting content, and I really just like them as a person, you create that know, like, and trust, and you're visible. Then they might do a little research and just say like, oh, let me actually like pay attention to who this person is, and they'll see your bio and your website, and hopefully they'll click on it, and that will lead to a deeper relationship with you. Okay, and again, be consistent, like with all the platforms. So LinkedIn is another one, especially if you are going after more professionals or business to business. First step is to have a LinkedIn account. Make your page look good. So there's a tons of different things that you can add on LinkedIn. I would recommend that you optimize your page, and there's basically a checklist, and it walks you through all the things you can do when you first get started. So definitely build that out. That's part of the know, like, and trust. If you don't have a photo on there and you haven't really put any information on your resume or what you're doing, they might think that you're a bot, or that you're just, somebody that's trying to get something out of them. But if you're actually a human being and they can look at your history and what you've done and accomplished, it's going to create a higher amount of trust, and they'll be more likely to do business with you or just talk to you. So create a compelling bio, get recommendations. So this is the social proof. So it's really cool on LinkedIn is you can ask people to give you recommendations on your work based on the places that you've worked or the business that you have. And you can literally pick up the phone and call people and ask them if they'll do that for you. If you have customers, and maybe even it's okay if you ask them like, hey, will you do this for me? I'm happy to send you a gift card or buy you lunch or something, just do this favor for me. And part of being likable and just in general, I believe in karma. And so if you want something, sometimes the best way to get something is to give it away. So if you want recommendations, go give a bunch of recommendations. And it's okay if give them and then say, hey, I gave you a recommendation. Would you mind giving one to me as well? People are much more likely to give you something if you've already initiated that and given them something. So on LinkedIn, kind of similar to Facebook, you can join groups, and you can find groups of people that are in the industry you're in, or in the industry that you want to target, which is awesome. And you can, again, create good relationships in there and have good conversations, add value to them, and then they're more likely to follow you, to be your Twitter friend, basically, and connect with you and potentially do business with you. You can also, LinkedIn also has the feature of being able to share content now. So you can share interesting, valuable content. And the cool thing is with LinkedIn, Twitter, all of these, you can schedule for similar content, or really if you want it to be the same content on all the platforms. If you want to mix it up a little bit, you can create a bunch of different, let's say, images or inspirational quotes or something like that, and post them at different times on different platforms. So, same photo A, you posted on LinkedIn today, and maybe it's not until June that you post it on Facebook. And then vice versa. If there's something you post on LinkedIn today, then you're going to post it on Facebook a different day. So you can create the content and post it on multiple platforms at the same time, or if you want to mix it up on different platforms. And then you can introduce yourself on LinkedIn, so you can actually connect with people and you can send messages to them. You are limited to the amount of messages you can send, and you want to be careful with that first message and not be spammy. But again, try to add value to them. If you see that they're in a certain industry and you have a solution, or you could send them to a blog post. Again, interesting, valuable content like, hey, I noticed you're in industry X. I actually wrote a blog post on this, or I know it doesn't even have to be one that you wrote. It could be something from Forbes or something like, hey, I found this really interesting. I thought it would be helpful to you. You're much more likely to like somebody and trust them if they're adding value to your life, which I just said a few moments ago, than if they're saying, hey, I have a solution. You want to buy it for me? It's like, oh, you're just selling me. Like, I know where your heart is, right? And so that's basically what I was saying: build relationships and add value to people. So lead magnet is basically something that it's something that you've created that you put out on the internet that draws people in. And usually it requires some type of opt-in. So this webinar, for example, is a lead magnet. When there was something valuable that we thought you wanted, and then you had to go and give your email address to access this. So this is an example of a lead magnet. Now you're spending, an hour and a half with Angel and I, and you're developing the relationship with us. We're giving you valuable content, and then hopefully in the future hopefully you do business with us, or you refer us, or you see us as an authority in this field. That's what we're looking for, right? And that's what you can do as well. And a lead magnet for your business, it could be a webinar, it could be an ebook, it could be that Kindle book. So there's tons of different lead magnets that you can create, but it's something that you give away for either free or low cost to people to get them to come in to your business. And again, don't sell right away. You can sell eventually, but it's all of this. It's like we were talking about at the beginning, it's networking. So it's about building relationships first and foremost, not selling people. Okay, so did you see a theme? The theme is building and creating great content. Okay, so you need to be sharing really amazing content. And to share content, you have to create great content. So that's the next step. Well, before that, so think about the sharing. So what content have you been sharing? I gave you examples of good content, of creating the visibility, the knowing, the liking, adding value to people. Be honest with yourself and ask yourself, have you been really creating great content that adds value to people's lives? Have you been following the 80-20 principle, or have you been sharing 80% of things that are selling and 20% or no percent of things that are that are selling people? And then, is the content valuable to my customer? So let's say you think that you're sharing really good content, but it's not really getting a lot of engagement. I would recommend that you go back and talk to your customer and see what is truly valuable to them, and start, do a quick interview with them and find out what their problems are, how you can solve it, and then share that content with them. And if you think you can do better, ask yourself how, and then do better. Okay, so then the last step is to create great content. So the first step in creating great content, which I feel like I've been harping on, is that you need to know your ideal client. So that is definitely the first step. Once you know that, then you need to know the problems that they want solved. It's very simple. You ask them, and then you help them solve the problem. It's going to be free, but it's also the catch that they have to usually opt into something. And then after you have all that information, then you're going to create the content. So some resources that I love is Canva is one of them. So it's canva.com. It's basically like Photoshop, if you've heard of that, only much more simple, and it's free. They have a paid option as well, but you definitely don't have to do that. So let me give you an example over here. So this is Canva. I've already logged in. So when you first go in, you'll have to create a sign-in. But let's say I wanted to create a quote board. All I did is create social media. Clicked here, like I want to create a social media post. I was talking before about you need to create profiles on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and all of those, and then you need to make them look good. So the cool thing is with Canva, you can do this. So if you want to create a Facebook cover, then you would click right here. You can click, let's see. You can also use custom dimensions. That's always good. So blogging and ebooks, your Kindle book that you wanted to create, you're going to need a cover for it. Well, guess what? You can do that right here. Marketing materials, you wanted to do a real estate flyer, a poster, you can create print things as well. Here's all your headers. So if you have a Facebook event, Tumblr banner, which we didn't talk about, YouTube channel. So here's your YouTube channel art, Twitter header. Here's all the headers that you would potentially need that you can make look good. So I was talking about creating content though. So I clicked this one and it opened this tab. So here's the cool thing. There's a bunch of templates that you can use. What it does do, you can use it for free, but if you use some of their photos, then there's going to be a charge. So when you go to download it, it will ask you to pay, but it's like $1. It's so inexpensive. but like this one here is free. And then you can also upload your own photos. So I already uploaded one into the system, and you literally, here's the photo, you drag and drop it once you download it. And just so you know the whole process. If you go to stocksnap.io, you can find beautiful free stock photos, so you don't have to buy them. You can search by the photo you want. All I did was found a photo. Let's see, I think it's on the first page. It's not here anymore. Oh well. But I downloaded one of these photos. It happened to be this one. Here's me downloading it. Here's the upload, and then you can just drag it over, and there you go. And look, they already created a quote for me. So if I think this would be inspiring to my target market, then I can even just leave this quote. Otherwise, I can go search Google to find an interesting quote, and then I just click on here and I edit it, and then I download it, and I've created a quote, an image that I can use and share on social media. And you can play around with it. You can change the color here, the font, you can change all that stuff. So this is a really, really great resource if you want to create content, very simple content that is easily shared. PicMonkey is similar to Canva. Because of time, I'm not going to give an example, but you can easily play around with that one. Stocksnap.io, that's where I downloaded the photo. And then Screencast-O-Matic. So if you wanted to create a webinar recording, or let's say you wanted a YouTube video, but you don't want to be on camera, you can use Screencast-O-Matic and record your screen and just plug your headphones into your computer. And then if your business has to do with helping people somehow on the computer, or maybe if you just wanted to show them a demo with a PowerPoint presentation and your voice on top of that, you can use Screencast-O-Matic to do that. And then you have content that is shareable. Okay, so we talked a lot about target market. So take action, ask your target market, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to blank? So whatever the problem that you think they have is, ask them, what is the biggest challenge you have when it comes to this problem, or when it comes to your industry, or when it comes to your business? So I love that question. Ask them a variation of that. Listen to them, that's step 2, and then outline the answer quickly. And so you don't want to give them, a 40-page answer. You want to give them something short and simple, like, okay, if that was your mom asking you that question, like they had this challenge, how would you recommend your mom solve it? Give them quick tidbits that they can put to action, and keep it simple. And then that's going to be your lead magnet. And it could be a simple tip of just one little tiny tip, like maybe there's 100 things that they have to do when it comes to that challenge, or maybe it's 1,000. Well, you can break all of those little tips into images like the one we just created, or a quote board. And then you can if you want to aggregate all of those 1,000 tips into an ebook, then that's another lead magnet you can use. So it's always focused on adding value to the client and helping them with their biggest problems. And that will set you up as an expert in your field. And then when they are ready to pay for the solution, they're most likely to come to you. Okay? All right, and we have a few more minutes left. I want to leave some room for questions. So quickly, a 6-step formula for more traffic, leads, and sales. So step 1 is to develop a strategy. So define your target market, define what your goals are, pick the best platforms based on the target market and the goals. So I went over quite a few platforms today. I would not recommend signing up for all of them today. Figure out your target market, your goals, and then pick one platform based on those and see if that works. And if it doesn't, then you can move on. And if it does, then keep doing that one. And if you have more time or resources to allocate towards marketing, then you can move on to another one. So you'll set up a lead magnet. So whether it's that ebook that you wrote, or it's a webinar, or something, maybe it's a free strategy call with them. There's tons of lead magnets that you can create, but set up a lead magnet that solves their problem. And definitely set up a resource budget, so time and money, and then be consistent on whatever platform you're on. Definitely be consistent. So, and know that it takes time. So if you create all this stuff and then you put it up there, you're going to have to drive traffic to that, and whether you're paying with Facebook ads or things like that, and be consistent over a period of time. If you try it once and it doesn't work, you can assess it and change things slowly over time, but know that if you just try it once and it doesn't work, that it could work, but if you only invest one day in it, you're never going to know, because you didn't give it enough time to work out. Okay, so creating content, you need to define your target market's biggest challenges, and the best way to do that is to talk to them, like I said. Help help them solve their problem with high value micro content. It needs to be something that inspires them, is funny, things like that. That's always good to add into the mix. Make it shareable. Again, make them look good so that they're willing and able to share it. Make it beautiful. So we trust things when they are more beautiful, especially on Instagram and Facebook and all of these. Even Twitter now has images. All of these platforms where we're sharing images, you want to make sure that there's a certain level of professionalism and that it's pretty. And brand it. Put your logo on it. And then optimize. So create a consistent brand identity. So if you can see on here the colors that I use, these colors are across all my social media platforms. So you want to just be consistent with that, and then make sure you're linking your pages to each other. So like we were talking about in the bio on Facebook and the bio on Twitter, on YouTube, everything should link back to your main website, or maybe it's your lead magnet, but it should link to something so that you're telling people where to go and making sure you're taking advantage of those opportunities. If people are looking at you and want more information, that they know where to go and you're giving them an action. Leverage keywords, which we talked about. Leverage hashtags. Those are they're super important. And then drive traffic to a lead page. So a lead page is basically a place that you can capture somebody's contact information. Promote. So pick your platforms. Become an expert in them. So like I was saying before, if you pick Twitter, if you pick YouTube, Facebook, whichever one you're going to pick, do it consistently, do research on it, dig deep into it, learn as much as you can. And that will really help it go a lot better for you. If you just dabble in it and then you move on to the next one, you're not going to see as much happening on that. Engage in the community. So this is huge. We can compare it to in-person events. So if you join the Chamber of Commerce, that could be potentially a great place to network if that's where your target market is, right? If you join it and you never go to a chamber meeting or mixer, it's not going to do anything for you. You're not engaging in the community, right? So you need to be known, and the way you do that is by engaging in the community and being active in it. And you want to grow your following. You want more people to know about you. You need to be sharing your own content. So that's kind of an organic trick, is you post it on your business page, and then after you do that, share it on your own page. And if you have friends or family that are willing to help you out, or even your employees, ask them to share your content as well to give it a little bit of an organic boost. Okay, and then you want to nurture. So nurture your community and your followers. This will help you build trust. You can continue to add value to them. Ask for referrals. So once you've given tons of value, and maybe on YouTube and Facebook, on social media, there's tons of people out there that the only reason they're following you is because you're continuing to give them valuable information and content for free. And maybe they're your target market because they have this problem, but they're not your target market because they don't have the money to pay you. In a way, that's okay, because if you can ask them for referrals, or if you're visible to them and then they are visible to people that can pay for your solution, then that is a win. Okay, so it's okay if some people are accessing your free content, but just make sure that you're asking them for referrals. And then offer a paid product or service. So I'm very careful about, you have to be careful about selling versus engaging the community and helping them. But if you are creating amazing content that people truly want, I mean, look at Apple products, look at Steve Jobs and that company. So people line up outside the door to get a new iPhone when they already have one that came out a year ago. They are waiting for it. They're their biggest fans, and they truly want the product and demand it. So if you're creating something so amazing that people absolutely love and are talking about, and there's buzz in the community, when you do offer a paid product or service, they will be more than happy to pay you. And honestly, I've seen this in my own business. I do tons of free things for people and for other businesses to just help them. And then when you give constantly and you're adding value to other people's lives, they'll come to you and say, okay, I need you to do something. Like, how can I pay you? I want you to do X, Y, or Z. And then it's like, oh, okay, well, how can we figure this out? So the right people, when you're visible and they see that you're an expert in a field, the right people will come to you and will, when you do offer a product or service, they'll buy it. And or sometimes they'll just come to you when you're not selling anything, and they'll say, okay, I need your help with this because you're an expert. And then you can charge them. Okay, and then measure. This is huge. So set measurable goals, track your progress. So sometimes it might seem like, oh my gosh, I want to get 10,000 followers on Facebook, or I want to get a bunch of people on my email list or something like that. But set measurable goals. Put down, if you're going to start today, put down where you are at, track it in an Excel document or a Google Doc, and know where you started and track your progress every day, every week, every month. Make sure you're going in there and seeing the growth and celebrate that growth. It might be small at first, but it usually on all social media platforms, it's going to be exponential. So it may seem slow at first, but then over time, as you're consistent, it will just go gangbusters and be amazing. So celebrate those small wins, even if you get one new like or one new follower. And then continue to do what's working. And so track what you're doing, especially if you do decide to do, Facebook and Twitter at the same time. Track what you're doing on each of those platforms every day. And then change what isn't working. If something doesn't seem to work, don't stop doing it and do something different. Yeah, so that is pretty much it. I have a monthly business challenge that I do. So if you like this information, you like this content, if you go to talkraw.org/monthly business challenge, and we're probably going to send you a recording of this so I can include this in the email as well. But if you go to this website, basically all it is free monthly business challenges so it's more content, more valuable information for you to grow your business. It's just action plans, because I've seen a lot of people, they don't know who their target market is, but they don't really know how to figure it out. So the first challenge is a client discovery challenge, and then it goes on from there and helps you truly understand more marketing, who your target market is, and how you can reach them. Okay, so I hope you like this presentation. I'm going to open it up for questions and comments. I think we have 5 minutes left. And Angel, if you have anything you want to add, please go for it.
Let me go ahead and let's open it up for questions, and that way I want to make sure we get all those people their questions answered. So I know Ryan had asked a question about whether we are recording this. It looked like there were some problems in the beginning, so I want to make sure we have a full recording to show, and we will be able to probably share that, but I wouldn't give Rachel the opportunity to review it first. And hopefully we can get it out, because this has been a fantastic presentation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, so if you have any questions, I see Ellen, you said the problem I see in good Chamber of Commerce costs like $300 or $400 a year to join. In other words, Corona is $300, Riverside is $400. Is that worth it for a small business? So any business consultant, their favorite answer is it depends, and that's my favorite answer as well. So I have no idea what your business is. If you want to give me a little bit more information, that would be helpful. But it depends on your budget, who your target market is. If you think other chamber members are your target market, especially if you're doing business to business, then that could be good. But I would research what are the benefits that they offer to the chamber members, who goes to the meetings, who's active in that community. Usually you can show up to some of their networking events either for free or pay the non-member price for like $20 or $30. So you could do advanced research and make sure that your target customer is there. And I don't know what your budget is either. So if your budget is $10,000, then $400 is a drop in the bucket. I would say potentially go for it, because it's just testing it out, and it's not that much money compared to a $10,000 budget. If your budget was $300 or $400, then that's all of your money, and I would definitely want to make sure that it is somewhere that your target market truly is, and that you could get revenue from there. Let's see. Ellen said, it is a marketing small business primarily through public relations. I have found the Jurupa Valley Chamber of Commerce to be completely useless. I can only give them credit for helping me get elected to public office. Okay. Yeah, so if you saw one of the chambers as being useless, then I would definitely do your research first. Show up to a couple networking sessions and see if anything comes from that. But like I was saying, I have no idea even what you did with the Jurupa Valley, so you have to have the time to invest, or have an employee go and invest time in being active in the chamber. It's a great place to build relationships and network, but you have to make sure that you're working that community and that you're engaged in it, and that takes time. So that's something that you'd have to look at. What is your time budget as well? Okay, let's see.
Rachel, there's a great question from Ryan Crabtree, who I'm familiar with, and I think, if you don't mind, I can probably answer that question.
Yeah, go for it.
And it has to do with, the question that was asked is, what about growing too quickly, biting off more than you can chew from a social media perspective or from any type of marketing? And I can tell you from experience that is a challenge to overcome. We here at Phoenix have had astronomical growth over just the last 4 or 5 years, upwards of 140% growth for a company that's been around 40 years. And in the first 2 years alone, we saw 20 to 30% growth in a just over 2 quarters, 3 quarters periods. And while it seemed fantastic originally, all of a sudden our production on some of our products went from 6 weeks to 30 weeks, and we were falling behind. And even though we continued to seriously get up to the point where we were doubling production, we still fell behind. So that is a great question, and how do you handle that? And so, of course, you have to be strategic in how you grow so that you maximize kind of your potential at that time, and also plan out and forecast what you think your potential growth will be. And really, I'm trying to keep this really generic so it crosses all industries, but for example, if you have a product that you sell and you can produce, we'll just use the term widgets. So you can produce 500 widgets a month, and currently you're maybe doing 100 to 120, and all you're doing is selling by word of mouth in your current area. Well, maybe the next step is marketing to a local geographic region. That may take you into the 300 or 400 widgets a month, and so on. So you will want to grow at a pace that you're comfortable with, and really that's kind of how you're going to be able to kind of gauge it. So another example would be that if you're making 500 widgets a month, you currently, with your current production, can make 25% more widgets. Well, then you're going to really have to kind of put your finger on the pulse as your sales start to increase, and there may become a point where you're going to start backing off on some of your marketing. And Rachel, you may have something to add to that.
Yeah, I would agree. And then I would add, we talked about know, like, and trust. So a huge part of trust, if it's a client that you can't take on, like, yeah, money is good, but you're there to add value to people and to serve them and solve their problem. And so if your business is doing so well, but your problem is that you are at max capacity, then tell them and give them a solution. Do you have a competitor? And maybe you think of your competitors more as strategic partners. You could potentially even get a referral fee, right? So call up your competitor and say, hey, I have somebody that needs this, but we are at max capacity. Can I forward them to you? And maybe you get a cut from that, or maybe then you become a marketing agency. If to me, that's a good problem to have if you're getting too much business, and then you can start outsourcing to your competitors and make them strategic partners. And potentially, if you're that good at marketing, you can just be a marketing agency and help all the other people in your industry. So yeah, I think that's a good problem to have. But you can always be, even if you didn't, there in your industry it doesn't work, that you can get referrals or affiliates. Be honest with the potential customer and tell them that, if you could do it, that it wouldn't be for a long time because you have back orders or something, or let them know, like, hey, there's this other person that does this and I think they could help you, and I'm happy to give you a referral. Because that, even though you might be giving that business away now, later they're going to appreciate you much more, and just your brand authority and identity, you're going to be trustworthy, and they'll know that they can trust you and they'll come. Even next time they might come to you again because they trust you, and they know that you'll give them the answer that is best for them rather than the answer that's best for you.
And that's great feedback, and that's something that we tried to focus on doing once we identified that gap, was making sure we were communicating. You always want to under-promise and over-deliver to people, and never want to do it in the reverse of that. So being open and honest with customers has helped us to maintain our success.
Definitely. So are there any other questions, comments? Let's see, Ryan has another one.
Ryan, I would discourage you, and Rachel, you may have different feedback on this. The question that's asked is, as it pertains to Phoenix, I think the majority of dealers are small business owners versus bigger business owners. What are the pros and cons of hiring a social media company? I am not a believer in hiring a company to manage your social media. They don't have the passion that you do, and they don't have truly the knowledge about it. Having a marketing person within your company is one thing, but so like we've looked out and reached out to a couple of companies that do social media marketing, and at $3,000 to $4,000 a month for posting ads for you, you'd be better off, in my opinion, especially for a smaller company, to follow the advice that Rachel gave earlier and spend that money in boosting your post.
And I think a big thing too is that education. So don't be afraid to educate yourself, or if you hire an employee, I mean, $3,000 to $4,000, could you hire a part-time employee to do that, and then pay for training for them, or maybe it's training for you or somebody that's already in your office. So that's what I focus on, is giving the information that you need so that you can continue it. The really cool thing is that you can, if you hired somebody, they may or may not do a good job. They're, like Angel said, they're not going to have the passion, and quite frankly, they're not going to have the understanding of the business that you do, just because they're not there. What you need is somebody that can think in a social media and a marketing way and kind of observe what's going on in the business. And, you know, maybe somebody, if you're manufacturing, maybe somebody says a funny joke or does something silly. Like, I love the marketing of, what's it called? The razor blade company, that they deliver. Oh my gosh, Dollar Shave Club. Watch their YouTube video. Like, that went viral, and they send razors to people. Like, it's a very simple business model. But they do funny things. And if you watch that video, like, somebody, if you had a social media person within your business, then they could see those opportunities, but you need to have somebody on your team that thinks in that way. And so if they don't already, then you just have to train them. And that's where I help people, even just the free monthly business challenge. If you take that, that can help people just get a little bit more of an understanding. And I love Gary Vander something. I forget how to pronounce his last name, but there's a book called Jab, 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 Right Hook. If you want somebody on your team to understand social media a little bit better, or if you want to understand social media, definitely read that book. It's really powerful. Let's see, is Google AdWords worth the money if you're spending about $1,000 a month in Facebook with 55,000 fans plus? Let's see. Let's see. So Matt, I see your question. It depends again. So if you're spending about $1,000 a month in Facebook with 55,000 fans, and 90% of your customers come from Facebook or Instagram, to me, that's working. So maybe do you want, instead of spending more money on Google AdWords to see if that's working, can you just invest more money into Facebook? So that's probably what I would do. If you're curious about Google, maybe test that out and see, maybe that works better. But I've heard a lot of marketers lately saying that Facebook works way better just because of the targeting that you can do, because it has everybody's information is so detailed in there, and you can really drill down into who your customer is and only target those people, whereas Google AdWords, you can't do that as much. I would say just keep sticking with Facebook. But that's me. I don't know, Angel, do you have another answer?
Rachel, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still there.
Do we have any other questions from anybody? All right. Well, we greatly appreciate you taking the time out today and spending it with us. Hopefully, it was very productive for you. Actually, there was a pause here on my side because Sean and I were talking about all the great information that we picked up from this, and so we will be hopefully sharing this with everybody, and we'd encourage you to share this with others. Again, this program was put together by the Jurupa Valley Adopt family, a local nonprofit in Jurupa Valley, sponsored by Phoenix Technology, and of course it was presented by Rachel, who's part of Talk Raw, so we'd encourage you to join part of her monthly business challenge. Visit her website, learn more about how she's been successful in developing strategies for small businesses, as well as looking at opportunities for her to help you.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun.
Have a great day, guys.